Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to take you through how do you fix bad or poor return on ad spend, ROAS, in your Google Ads account. So this is really an e-commerce focused video, but realistically, if you're getting a ROAS from lead gen, it would also apply, but this really is an e-commerce focused video. Let's jump into it. This is an account that I manage. It's definitely probably, well, it would be the smallest account I manage, but I wanted to show you that this principle is the exact same across any account. The first thing you'd want to see is your return on ad spend actually bad? So normally what you'd want to see, or to start this process, would be you need to have been running ads for a while to establish a baseline ROAS, because you don't really know what a good return on ad spend for a market or industry specific for you, what it is, until you run it. I've had two people in the exact same sort of industry in slightly different areas have wildly different return on ad spends. I don't like taking clients, and I generally don't take clients who are in the same sort of location and niche. But if they're in completely different markets, or if I get approval from them, they might be know the person or supply the person. That's normally the case, actually, has been that they actually do supply the person. And in that event, I actually find that you can have completely different results. So what I mean by that is you want to have an established baseline for your market. And so you need to be running ads for a while, because if you just come into a market, get a 2x return on ad spend and go, it's bad, inherently doesn't sound good, but you might be in a super competitive space. So if you haven't been running your ads long enough, you haven't really got a baseline. That's not to say you can't do anything to improve it, but you don't really know what a good or bad return on ad spend is. And it is easier to start making changes that will actually help once you've collected some data, because what happens at the start, Google is just testing things out. It doesn't really know what works or doesn't for your business. It's probably got no conversion data there. Won't have any conversion data if you haven't been running ads. And so it needs to build up that kind of customer avatar, or what works for your products and what they are. And over time, these do get better. And sometimes return on ad spend can improve simply by not touching it and letting it do its thing. But what sort of steps can you take, and what do I look at when I come into an account? So I would look at the near-term return on ad spend, what it's doing. I would look at further out here. You can see I've selected from 1st of March to 20th of July, so several months there. And I like to adjust this to the biggest time period available, or even monthly, for example, because quarterly might be too small if you don't have enough of a time period there. I'm not sure why it's not selecting it, because the bigger the time period you go out, it smooths the data out a bit more. And so you've basically got 3 quarters of data here with 1 quarter that's not complete. But potentially if we go all time, we can get a much better view as to how the account's going. So playing around with the time period and zooming out yearly, quarterly, and then looking at the more near-term return on ad spend, because return on ad spend can change over time. But ideally, I like to see it going up and to the right, which in this account, it pretty well is. Like this year is getting the highest return on ad spend, but at the same time, you'd probably want to overlay spend, because simply by lowering spend, you can improve your return on ad spend. So if you want a really simple way to improve it, lower your spend and your return on ad spend will improve, which has really been the main driver for this year, although this year is not a full year, so it's not really a great indication, although we're just over halfway, so it's probably going to be about the same amount of spend. So actually more profitable this year, which is fantastic. But how would I improve this even further? Well, your first and easiest lever, as I said, is budget. Your second lever is your TROAS, or target return on ad spend. So when you're using either shopping ads, standard shopping, or PMAX, or search and some of the other campaigns, you can set a target return on ad spend target. And what that will do is you're giving it a sort of benchmark to work towards. It won't always hit it. So if you just come out of the gates and set a TROAS, it's not necessarily going to hit it. It's not necessarily going to hit it all the time either. It tends to average it out over 30 days. And to be honest, sometimes it just doesn't hit it. And if you set it too high, then you won't be spending much. And if you set it too low, then you're going to be overbidding. So it's actually a bit of a massaging act to find the sweet spot. I like to keep pushing it. And it depends if you or your client are only focused on return on ad spend, or if you're also focused on improving actual sales and your gross profit dollars. So your actual amount of dollars coming in, because sometimes if you drop return on ad spend and you get far more volume, then it's still fine, right? You can probably go back to your suppliers, negotiate better prices on things. You grow your customer base, your customer list. You can remarket to them. You can market to them more. And there is a benefit to appearing higher in your Google Ads over time if you keep getting more conversions, because you will be pushed further up and higher up. One thing to note too is if you're constantly introducing products, your return on ad spend is going to change. So it's not logical to assume it will stay the exact same all the time, particularly if you're changing your product mix and changing the types of products you're selling. It's going to change over time, and that's one factor. You may have introduced a bunch of new products that are lower value, and so Google has to work harder to get you that return on ad spend because the products are cheaper. You might have more competitors come in and your return on ad spend goes down because competition's increased, normally through the average CPC, but sometimes it can even be hidden in that because your average CPC may include other areas like display, YouTube, and other lower cost per click areas of Google. But what can you do? You can come in here and simply change your target return on ad spend. So step one we said was you could simply lower your budgets. You could reallocate budgets to other campaign types. You could increase the budget on your best performer. You can simply come in here and where it says bidding, max conversion value, this takes a bit of massaging. You can just sit here and increase this. How much would you increase it? If 475 is not too much, maybe you jump up 20% to 495. Watch it for a week, readjust. Likewise, if you're wanting to spend more and you're wanting to scale, you're probably over time going to have to drop this value. Eventually what will happen though is you'll hit this point where it's kind of, I call it equilibrium point, where it's perfectly balanced. Because what happens is, if you're spending your full budget each day, you've set this, you're hitting it, you're overachieving it, then you could probably keep pushing it higher. The problem is, if you push it too high, you'll find you'll only focus on remarketing and sort of branded search terms, particularly if you haven't excluded them. If you've excluded them, probably less so, but it's pretty good at finding branded search terms in here. Even I know the people that are saying that they completely exclude them, but a lot of people have sub-brands they don't exclude. A lot of people get stuff hidden in there that they don't actually see, or they don't check it regularly enough, or it could be a lot of remarketing that you're hitting. If you set this too high, that's probably what is going to happen. And so you may need to split that out. But that's your very first step, is to do that. Now, if that doesn't work, some other things you could be turning off in here is if you're bidding for new customers, you could remove that or lower or change the amount. You could change any of the values in here for any of the customer retention or customer acquisition fields. You could, in asset optimization, come and turn this off as well. Turn off video enhancement, turn off final URL expansion, click save, and that will do that. I don't want to do it for this one. They don't have very good videos and stuff like that, so I actually don't mind using the AI generated one. It still brings in sales. You can check it through a script. So these are some simple ways to just increase your profitability. Now, other things you could do is you could come in here and look at your assets and your asset groups and your products. You could make some improvements on those. You could also jump into your feed and make some improvements at a product basis and try and improve those. That's a very common one where if you are, what you should be getting in the habit of doing is checking your competitors' listings and seeing how you compare to them. If your competitors have much better listings, you need to spend some time and improve them. So I wouldn't go in and change a lot of this stuff all the time, frequently, all at once, because if you change them all at once, you're not going to know what actually led to a positive result. Funnily enough, sometimes you need to spend more to hit that better return on ad spend, because like I was saying before, if you're not hitting high numbers of conversions, then your ads just won't get shown as much. And then you hit this point where it tips over and snowballs. And because you're getting more conversions, your return on ad spend goes up. And so that's actually a super common way to increase that. If you find that this campaign does not improve, you could try just going back to a standard shopping campaign and setting a target ROAS there and seeing if the standard shopping campaign will improve. You could run them side by side for a period, but you might find you need to transition across, particularly on a small budget campaign. Like this is only $25 a day at the moment. This is a legacy client from when I first started. It's one of my first clients. I just haven't let them go because it's a very easy account to manage. They're still a good business. I'm helping them continue focus on profitability here because they're not really wanting to grow or scale. Not my normal bread and butter, but how you would balance scale as well would be you'd probably need to introduce more campaigns as well, and you would start going into the product level. So you'd tick into here, you'd go to products, click products. Diagnostics is another spot to check too. If your best sellers have gone out of stock, then you might find you're not doing quite as well because your best seller's out of stock, and now your best seller's out of stock, and so your return on ad spend goes down because it was the best selling product. Now you can see here, this product gets a 7x return on ad spend, this gets a 4.5. What you can do is you can come here and you can actually set a filter, and you can set a filter where your return on ad spend is, say, less than 1.5. What's his less than a 1.5, but you can also put like cost parameters. This one's only getting a 0.32. You might want to completely remove that product, right? But don't remove it too soon. Any of these you could set and go, I'm going to completely exclude all these products. They're not doing too well. I'm getting rid of them. You also can check here and go, I'm having some issues with some of these. Can I improve them? Anything that's borderline, potentially you could spend some time improving. Anything that's well below benchmark, just completely remove it entirely. Or look at on page, look at your title. A lot of these have very poor titles, but I've mentioned it and the client wants to keep them as is, which is fine. That's what they want. But these are some really simple ways to improve it. Some other stuff you can do is if you go into the Insights tab up here, have a look at the keywords that you're coming up for. Are they the correct search terms? Has competition increased is another one. So in here, if a lot of the sales and clicks are coming from branded terms, you might want to exclude them. This campaign is so small, this client, that there's actually not much point in excluding it. Although it is a good chunk of the clicks, it's just simply too small a budget to bother to change it on, and it won't really lead to any big difference in the result because it actually is still getting clicks and conversions from other sources. So I only worry when it's much higher spends and when brand is completely dominating. Now, this one in particular here, it's not really showing us much performance comparison compared to other people. Normally there's another one here, but I think that's because there's not really it's because I've got all campaigns selected. Let's just choose the performance max. So that was actually including branded search, so that makes a bit more sense. But as you can see, there's lots of little bits and, why is it not selecting it? Let's go back. Yeah, now we're in the performance max. It's still not coming up. Normally there's another thing here that actually shows us how we're comparing the impression share with other competitors. So these are just some simple things you can do. There's a lot more stuff that goes into improving return on ad spend. I wouldn't just focus on return on ad spend either, but I know a lot of people are interested in improving it. So if this has been of use, please let me know in the comments below. If you want me to take a look at your ads to improve your return on ad spend, I'll leave a link below for an application form, fill it out, and we'll see if we can work together. Thanks so much, guys. See you in the next one.